It's up to you, New York, New York. How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, here with my guy, my co-host, Mr. Idris Salam, aka Bosco from the Bronx.
Hey, hey, blue and orange skies. We are on a winning streak. What up, y'all? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, bro. New York Knicks, 6-game winning streak on the birthday of this guy, Hicks. I
Yes,
like the
sir.
thing. Yeah, put it to rhyme. Yeah, we're gonna hit on the Knicks' newfound success after a really crappy 15 to 18 days or so. Knicks
Yeah.
seem to be back on track, at least for the moment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Johnny Nast, happy Monday, fellas. Johnny, how you doing? Good to see you.
Mr. Nash.
Yeah, Knicks 6-game winning streak. I want to hit on Steve Tisch a little bit deeper now that I have someone to talk to about it outside of people in the comments. Definitely want to bounce some of this off of you with regard to Giants co-owner Steve Tisch. We're going to hit on some legendary Super Bowl teams as well, and a couple of things to debate on in terms of some NBA legends who unfortunately left the game without a championship. But we're going to start this up here with the Knicks. Idris, from what you've seen over this last 6-game stretch, what do you think is the big difference and why the Knicks have been putting some wins together now?
This team play, man, playing a little bit better defense than we have played. We still got to tighten up a little bit, but I think we're playing a little bit better defense. We're playing like we played at the beginning of the year where we're playing together, So I like what I see. We all go through stretches, bad stretches, and we just had one. A lot of our fans are worried. Oh no, we're falling apart. It's still early in the season. We haven't even hit the All Star break yet. I mean, the trade deadline. So y'all just relax. Things happen, ups and downs. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
I feel as a unit, the New York Knicks play better when it is not all on the shoulders of point guard Jalen Brunson, and when it's not always expected for Karl Anthony Towns to heave up too many shots. I think the more disciplined play, more team-centric play of Karl Anthony Towns has been a big difference. You
Mhm.
know, earlier in the week, a 22 rebound performance, followed by a 20 rebound performance. He
Yeah.
was in the teens on his next game. He's been making a more concerted effort to get down the court to be a factor in the paint, both on offense as well as defensively. And I noticed, last couple of games, Jalen Brunson's shot hasn't exactly been there, but you're getting solid contributions from a guy that on any given night can literally be your number two scorer. I'm talking about OG Anunoby. And
Yeah.
when I look at the way the Knicks were stringing wins together early in the season, I think a lot of it had to do with Coach Mike Brown really rotating up to an 11, sometimes 12-man rotation, where the Knicks are actually the depth behind Brunson has actually been a good point. And Josh Hart, not great at anything, but really good at a lot of things. A good rebounder, a good passer.
Yeah.
You know, an okay free throw shooter. But the one thing that he always brings is energy. And
And yes,
I think it was a message sent. I think there were some reports out there. So sometimes I wonder if it was even linked by the organization, leaked by the organization itself to say, "Hey guys, we're supposed to win the East this year. That's like the expectation. And
hmm
whoever's not in, we're going to start name dropping, putting some pressure on people." But between Mikal Bridges having his bust out night earlier in the week, Karl Anthony Towns playing more like a traditional big, not really worrying about putting up 30 a night, worrying more about getting boards and winning in plus minutes in that regard. And like I said, Brunson's cold. Let him sit a little longer. Guys
yeah,
like Shamet been stepping up. Tyler Kolek making appearances.
yeah,
And I noticed Jordan Clarkson. He's up and down because defensive prowess again. It's always been a staple of Knicks basketball. You got to play defense.
yeah, play defense. Yeah, I agree. We can't rely on Jalen Brunson all the time anyway. So, if he's cold, sit him down, let him rest, let him get his energy because the dude balls every night. So, everyone else has to step up. OG, Kolek, Cat, everyone has to step up, man. We just can't put everything on his shoulder like we did in the playoffs last year. We got a big man in Cat who can shoot, who can score inside, who can score outside, who can take it inside, can take it outside. Got to work on his defense. He's a big body. He has been playing defense lately so good, you know. So I don't really have. I'm not worried about Brunson because Brunson he has his days when he gets hot. He's hot, and we know he's going to bring it regardless. So my concern is everyone else stepping up around him, and that's what they've been doing. And great, that's what we need.
Yeah,
I
and
think
it's
we
been a
can.
strange season.
Yeah.
Teams have been showing a lot of warts and inconsistencies because, you go back, say, a month ago, Oklahoma
Mm-hmm.
City Thunder looked like a shoe-in to not only
Oh yeah.
make the finals, but to be a threat to some of the greatest winning teams of all times,
Yeah.
going to the Golden State Warriors, who fell short against LeBron and Kyrie's Cavs, but had the best regular season record. You look at the Chicago Bulls,
Yeah.
you know, teams of that stature where the Thunder were looking like they were going to go. Of course, Thunder are defending champions, but
Mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of parity in the league. You got a Celtics team that's been fighting hard,
Yeah.
overachieving this year without the services of their best player, Jason Tatum. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have an Indiana team
Mm-hmm.
who made the the NBA finals last year. And even though Halliburton's not there, I think a lot of people expected a little better out of them. The Detroit Pistons are for real. The Knicks beat them in a tough series last year. That's a team that I think people in the East need to pay attention to. They have a
Uh-huh.
pretty good lead right now for the one seed, and I don't view them the same way that I say view the Cleveland Cavaliers as a team that gets a one seed, but they're like a paper tiger. I think the Pistons are very much for real.
Yeah, I think they're for real. Even based on what they did last year, they look like okay. These guys want to come to play next year. So I figured this year they would be a lot better than they are. They're a whole lot better. They went from
Yeah, a couple of bounces differently in that first round series with the Knicks. Could have won seven. It could have went their way.
yeah.
You know, yeah, the Pistons definitely growing as a team this year, and I expected one particular cold front for the Knicks because they were off to a really nice start, particularly at MSG. But the thing
Mm.
with the Knicks right now is, the caliber of opponents also helps. Like when you go into Portland, you're supposed to smash them down. When you get Brooklyn, you're supposed to smash them down. But there've been
Yeah.
some quality games against quality teams that they also beat. Coming from behind and having a huge fourth quarter against Toronto. Um, Yesterday, beating the Lakers in terms of the little things that help teams win games. Luka won off, but they made sure that they were able to contain their other options. And whenever you could beat LeBron James at Madison Square Garden, it's a good day. As LeBron has had some massive games over the years in MSG and against the Knicks in general, going back to his Miami run. And even some moments of greatness with the Lakers in MSG, because MSG is the place where everybody wants to go
Yeah.
as a visitor and put on a performance. That is called the Mecca for a reason. It's the best canvas to play on in the NBA, so to speak.
Well said. I agree. I was glad. I watched some. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole game. I fell asleep. But yeah, you got to win at home against the Lakers. The Lakers are still good. Not like they're scrubs. They're still good. You got LeBron. You got Luca. So you got that tandem. But a good win is a good win is a good win. And I'm just glad to see us back on the winning track and seeing like we're getting things back together. And maybe we needed that bad stretch, because you figure after we won the cup, you would thought we like, okay, let's go out, let's win this. We look bad after this
Yes,
cup, but
yes,
you
and
know,
I don't know if psychologically not putting the banner up actually affected the players. Of course, the players in the media are going to say whatever the organization decides on. I personally think it's a little dumb. I think they should have put it up for the sheer fact that what's the purpose of playing it? It's not the grand prize, but it's like a reflection of an accomplishment you did as a team. So in that regard, although it doesn't line up to an Eastern Conference banner or the two NBA banners that they got in the '70s, I still think it
yeah,
should have won up because it's a reflection of the team right now. You got to start somewhere before you get somewhere else. So in that regard, I don't agree with the. I mean, if the Lakers are not too good to not put up a banner like that with all their championships, I think the Knicks should have. But I wonder
yeah,
to a level if it was kind of a middle finger to the players. You know what I mean? Because I'll be honest, the NBA needed ways to get a little more creative, and I do believe that number one, going back to some of the original things in the All Star game helps because there was a time when the All Star game was like, stop what you're doing, must see TV. And I think the
yeah,
NBA is trying to make a concerted effort to get back to that. Jalen
mm,
Brunson, what he's doing is incredible. Back to back seasons, point guard of the New York Knicks to start an All Star game. You got to go all the way back to Walt Clyde Frazier to see an accomplishment like that.
right,
So that's cool. Keeping it NBA centric for a second, something that I thought was a good debating point here. Who
mhm.
deserves a ring the most? I'm gonna get my head out of
Uh,
here for a second, so that way they don't think I'm part of this crew. Um, we've got the Utah duo, John Stockton, Karl Malone. We know their story. Many years in the West, falling short to teams like the Los Angeles Lakers, Houston Rockets. There were teams that have always been in their way. When they finally broke through and got to the finals, they lost two epic series, both 6 games. They were awfully close to pushing that second series to a seventh game.
mhm,
A couple of things go differently. Utah maybe wins that series. Of course, Charles Barkley starting his career in the shadow of Philadelphia legends from the previous decade, as Barkley was a tweener in between the '80s and '90s. He ultimately had his year of all years in Phoenix. A failed attempt putting together Pippen, Olajuwon, and Barkley did not work in Houston. Russell
mhm,
Westbrook, one of the best bench players of all time, ultimately becomes a starter. He was part of a trio in OKC with KD, as well as
mhm,
James Harden, who's pictured in that Rockets uniform.
mhm.
The player that is in the purple between Chris Paul and Harden is, if we want to make another suggestion, I already have one in mind. I was thinking maybe Reggie Miller. Um,
Yeah,
we got Patrick Ewing. Come on now.
yeah,
Patrick Ewing,
well,
greatest New York
right.
Knick ever, in my opinion. Of course, it's debatable. Allen Iverson, Allen Iverson, the guy who re-put Philly on the map after so many bad years. He brought that same excitement that Julius Erving brought in a different kind of way, a different kind of style. I think Allen Iverson is a guy who kind of was the forefront of hip hop and basketball together. There were
Yeah,
other players, but he was that dude. He was hip hop from his fashion to his swag to his heart. Steve Nash, that's one bad Canadian, two-time NBA MVP, and of course Chris Paul, who goes down as a top 10 point guard all time. Idris, how do you view this? And in the purple jersey, we could plug in another player. I'm gonna elect Reggie Miller on my side for that.
I would go. I would go Reggie Miller too.
All
With
right,
me,
so. We're in agreement
I,
on Reggie.
yeah, I think with the way I would look at it is those who played but didn't win who were great. I would base mine based on personnel and the opportunity. Like with Ewing and Iverson, like me and you spoke offline. I would put them 1 and 2. I would put Iverson first, but Ewing like 1A because I think when you look at their teams, okay, the Knicks had Ward and all them, but how many of those actually? I mean, Allen Houston's a great player, but how many of those players you could actually say they were superstars? You know,
The
I don't think
closest
he.
thing that Patrick Ewing would ever have to a superstar would have been if Bernard King and he
Yeah,
had more time, but Bernard King, unfortunately, injuries claimed the best parts of his career.
yeah, and see, that's how I would put it. Like that's why I said I would put him and Allen Iverson. I put Allen Iverson first based on he was a little guy that had a bunch of guys that Eric Snow. I think he
Yeah,
had a
Eric
young.
Snow had to be the most basic dribbler in the history of the NBA point guard position, especially when you consider that this is a guy that played in the 2000s.
Right.
It's hard to believe that Eric Snow was able to carve out a career like he did. He was a scrappy player, but definitely a lot to be desired in terms of sexy points on the in terms of handling the basketball.
Right. And see, that's why. And I put him first, Iverson first, because he was a little guy leading a team. And but I said I wouldn't like you had Ewing. I wouldn't argue with Ewing being number one. I wouldn't. But those are my number one and number twos based on personnel and everything else. To where Malone, Malone and them had a pretty good team. You got two Hall of Famers in Malone and Stockton alone.
Yeah, to
Byron.
me, they're on actually probably the bottom of this list
Yeah,
because number one, I think their individual greatness actually cancels each other out. That would be
yeah,
like, let's say if Shaq never left Orlando, and
yeah,
let's say if he and Penny played like 6 more years together and neither one of them ever won a title.
yeah,
Obviously, Shaq won four.
yeah,
That would be the kind of cancellation I mean when you have a great big man. Now, Malone was a power forward, but he was a big power forward, a strong power forward.
yeah.
And I'm also willing to go as far as saying that Charles Barkley, given his undersize for that position, and he
Yeah,
had a
he's
little
good.
more of an outside game than Malone. I
You know,
personally think Charles Barkley's better than Karl Malone.
I do too. See, with Charles Barkley, a lot of people today don't realize Charles Barkley was only 6'5". You
Yeah,
know,
I mean
you
he lines up in a lot of metrics as a guard, but his
yeah,
frame, he was stocky. He wasn't that fast, but he knew angles.
right. And and that's when I look at guys like Draymond Green, I say, look, Barkley's smaller than him, in
Correct.
height. I'm
Correct.
like, but I would rather have Charles Barkley than I would have Draymond Green because Charles Barkley can shoot, he can rebound, he can defend, he can do everything you needed him to do. He can guard the big man and push him away. He held down Shaq. I don't think Draymond in his greatest days could stop Shaq.
No, not by any means. Not by any means. Number one for me would be Patrick Ewing for the simple fact that I think he played in an era where it was the most difficult to win a championship because the Chicago Bulls won six in a decade.
It
They
was a
might
big
have
man.
won eight in a decade if it wasn't for Jordan's retirement and coming back. Who knows?
Hmm.
They may have won seven or eight. Iverson is a strong number two for me, very close to Ewing. The only reason why I would put Ewing ahead of Iverson is because Ewing did it longer
True
with
that.
his original team. And to your point, and I said it off air, I think Iverson being a smaller guy, he took so many beatings that it kind of shortened out his prime.
Yeah,
Philadelphia fell out of love with him. He ended up in Denver. He made stops in Detroit. But Allen Iverson is an original. He's one of one. And if Allen Iverson was the height of a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan, I think a lot of things would be a lot different, a whole lot different for the way Allen Iverson is remembered. Number
yeah,
three, number three is actually debatable. But number three, I would say take a coin, flip it up in the air, and it's either Chris Paul or Charles Barkley. But the purple jersey, which is pick your own player, Reggie Miller could qualify as number 3 as well. I would probably go with Barkley, though, because I think that, and you revisit those 93 finals, Barkley was playing at an out-of-world level, and he really put it all out there every single night. But I do think that his son's teammates, maybe with the exception of Kevin Johnson, just didn't meet his intensity.
Yeah, I put Barkley there. I think Kevin Johnson, he's another little guy. I think Dan Marley was
Dan
good,
Marley was very good.
but the problem is Michael Jordan X'd him out. That's who guarded Dan Marley. So Dan Marley couldn't get hot because Mike was on him. Mike said, I want him. So, but yeah, I could put Barkley there. Again, people think Barkley's a big guy. Barkley's not a big, he was a big body-wise. He's not as big as he was. He's bigger now than he was back then. But the man is only six. People forget he was only 6'5".
And it wasn't just that one season when he lost to Jordan. In the 90s, that epic series that Barkley lost to the Suns, to the Rockets.
Yeah.
That's another Phoenix team that I think was good enough to do it. And they may have, given that they had more playoff acumen at that point, they might have been able to go the further distance. But when I revisit those 93 finals, the fact that the Suns were able to win twice on Chicago's home floor says a lot about how good that Suns team was. I think what nobody had figured out is that the Suns were going to struggle so much in that postseason at home, because people forget it wasn't just losing to Michael Jordan's Bulls in the finals. They were facing elimination in round 1 against a Magic Johnson-less Lakers team that had them down 2-0, and they had a losing record and barely made the playoffs, those Lakers, and they almost put the Suns out in the first round. A lot of people forget that. The Suns played a lot more games that year that they should have, and I think it caught up to them in the end.
Yeah, and they were a fast team too. So yeah, it's just like it reminds me of the UNLV teams back in the 90s with Terry Sarkany. They were fast.
Well, that was like a big staple of the Western Conference in general. And sometimes I wonder if that's why Stockton and Malone weren't able to get over the hump when they were a little younger as a team, because Utah tried to force the half-court game, the pick-and-roll game, whereas you had teams like Run TMC.
Yeah.
You had they weren't going to win a championship, but if they get one of the favorites or a team that has one in a short series, they could shock the world and beat somebody like the Lakers and Warriors. That was great TV back in that era.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Mitch Richmond. You had an upstart Tim Hardaway with the killer crossover. He was one of the first guys to really bring a lot of attention to how serious the crossover was. And then, of course, Iverson took it to a different level, and nothing could be, immortalized more than when he broke Michael Jordan's ankles.
Yeah.
But good segment. Good segment here.
You know something about that play with Michael Jordan? As much as he juked Jordan still almost blocked his shot. That's the amazing thing. Jordan was still there. He shook him, but when Iverson took that jumper, Jordan's hand was right there. That's the beauty of Michael Jordan, man.
Idris, can you do me a solid on your end? Can you see if you're able to minimize the picture? I think that I'm on here, but it just has to be stretched in more.
Let's see what we can do. I'm kind of on my phone. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. It's not a big deal. My voice is here, so it ain't the end of the world.
Yeah.
Boom.
How about now? Did it? Okay.
There we are.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
But good segment. I enjoyed that. I want to hit on Steve Tisch, Idris, co-owner of the New York Football Giants, 45% owner. I thought he was 49%. I was corrected on a short because I forgot that the Giants did have a minority owner as well, which is relatively newer. But it's 45 Mara, 45 Tisch, and 10% Koch.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on this? essentially the New York. At first, I thought it was a bunch of bullshit, and I wasn't going to jump into it right away. But then when I saw that the Post and the Times
Yeah,
were putting this out, I said, okay, there's something to this. It's emails with regard to Jeffrey Epstein setting up or trying to set up Steve Tisch with women, working
yeah,
women, so to speak. And
yeah,
when we know about what Jeffrey Epstein's background is, this is like
yeah,
every red flag imaginable on what you would want as any kind of owner in the NFL representing an iconic franchise like the Giants. This is a public relations nightmare for the Giants right now. And I wanted to hear what you have to say because there's a lot of
I
legalities, there's a process. So I wanted to see what you had on this.
I hate it because as someone one of our sources told me, Steve Tisch is the owner of the Giants who really wanted the Giants to win. He disagreed with a lot of stuff Mara said. He was more the owner that to where if he was the sole owner or the majority owner, we might have already seen a different Giants team on the field. Like when George Young took over as manager, as GM.
Something I didn't know until a few hours ago. Steve
Yeah.
Tisch was a producer for Forrest Gump. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, and he has a cousin who was a singer
Wasn't
who
aware of
started.
that either.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Steve Fisher. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
I
I
can't
think
remember.
this is the kind of thing where it's like you can't really walk it back. I think this is the kind of thing where they're going to have to apply pressure. They being the Maras. Now, there's other
Or he
members
might.
of the Tisch family that he's very wealthy. Does another
Yeah.
family member take over? That kind of still keeps the stench in the room, so to speak. Guilty by association, almost.
Yeah. It's I mean, I know he's not going to do it, but I would come out and say, I would speak like, look, man, this is what's up. But it's a bad look, and I really like Steve Tisch, man. I really when I first heard how he disagreed um on with Mara on a lot of things, the direction of the team, especially after they fired Coughlin, I was like, man. And then this come out, I'm like, man.
No, it's a
I mean,
terrible look on. It's a
it's a
terrible look on so many levels.
it is. He don't have much to do, but he he gotta move on. He gotta
I
move
also
on, man.
think, I also think putting out a statement, kind of
Mhm.
downplaying, and it's not so much that I'm saying assume guilt and put guilt out if it's
Yeah,
not as bad as it looks, because there's really, there could be more to come out, but they might
yeah,
not be able to prove if he even moved forward with any of these things. And he puts out
right.
a statement, kind of downplaying the whole solicitation to begin with, and just saying, talking about adult women, which I think in a lot of ways is demeaning to women in general.
Yeah,
I don't think it's the best play. I mean, you got like explicit talk more so on the Epstein side
yeah,
than, to say I regret knowing him and all this other shit. I personally think that one of the big mistakes that a lot of these Hollywood guys and just people involved one way or another in a small manner or in a big manner, the best way to get in front of something is don't
yeah.
wait to get busted and assume that you're not going to
Oh,
get out there. Just fucking own it,
just
man.
own up to it, man. Just own it,
That's a big
man.
reason why a guy like an Andy Pettit could get in the Hall of Fame because he owned it immediately. He didn't wait and wait
Not
and wait.
he was a little goofy with it, but
Now,
but
of course, this is
he's a country boy.
it's
Yeah,
a big difference when we're talking about a sex trade network and underage girls and all kinds of other funk versus a Hall of Fame.
yeah,
But the point to be made here is that a lot of these guys just assume that it's not going to land on their doorstep.
right. But it is, it will, it will, and you have to get out in front of it, man. You have to get out in front of it. You have to.
Yeah, I
And with
tend to agree.
yeah, with Tish, I mean, you can't downplay when you downplay stuff like this. You tell people basically, man, I ain't worried about this shit. Like, and maybe you're not worried about it, but you need to show concern to the people out there. So them like, so like, okay, he's serious. Something's going on.
It's
He's trying to,
completely tone deaf to the bigger problem.
yeah,
They're not trying to put Steve Tisch under the jail. It's a tone deafness to a bigger problem once again, which makes the New York Giants look bad. Bottom line.
We don't need that right now.
This
We
is a
just
sports show, so that's why I'm talking about what it does to the Giants. It's a lot more to it. Like some
yeah,
people with the 50 Cent doc were like, yo, he just wants to bury Diddy. He don't give a shit about the victims. And
right.
whether that's true or not, but perception is a real thing. And my perception is Steve Tisch is trying to talk to the people consuming this news like if they're naive
Yeah,
or if people owe him a bigger understanding.
yeah. And see, that's the problem. That's the problem. You know, you have
And
to show that you gotta be contrite, dude. You gotta show like,
yes, and
you know,
we've talked about the hypocrisy in the sports world, which comes sometimes to legal things. I
mhm,
mean, you look at untimely deaths of football players or the CTE stuff, where
mhm,
the powers that be kind of turned a blind eye to it.
yeah,
Similarly to how McMahon's organization in wrestling turns a blind eye to the addiction issues that professional wrestling had. And it ain't just steroids. It goes a lot deeper than that.
right.
Um, you look at Major League Baseball with this steroid bullshit, how not caring until Congress. This is what I mean about bigger hypocrisies in professional sports. We're talking about moral police. You see it in the MLB, Cooperstown, with the Hall of
Yeah,
Fame. We're seeing it in football now. My
yeah.
issue with this Belichick thing, and I talked about it in deep detail with Brett. I don't think you could really hold anything over them for Deflategate when Tom Brady was basically going to the Supreme Court and he got exonerated from any wrongdoing.
Right on, right on.
To
I'm
me,
100.
Deflategate was Roger Goodell's attempt at a makeup for dropping the ball when Bill Belichick and co. got busted with Spygate. And it wasn't so much about getting caught in that Jet game. It's about it going back to their original Super Bowl when they beat the Rams.
Right.
And my issue with that is Major League Baseball took AJ Hinch and gave him a year suspension, which ultimately turned into him having to leave the Houston Astros for a less
Mhm,
savory job in Detroit. And he showed the kind of manager he is because he made Detroit a powerhouse now.
yeah,
But the point to be made is like something like this, you can't walk it back.
you can't,
And
man.
I feel that they pick and choose who walks it back, who doesn't. You look at Brett Favre, they'll paint him as the golden goose when he
Yeah,
had addiction issues. But they
yeah,
won't paint that same light on a Lawrence Taylor when he had those same addiction issues.
yep. And with Taylor, he admitted it. That's
Right.
the thing. He admitted it. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
When
I
Brett
don't.
Favre went to rehab, I'm not trying to make light of it, but they were treating it like it was like some 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, like no, dude. Y'all, you guys don't understand. You don't
It's that
understand.
same irresponsibility when you look at this celebrity rehab bullshit, where it's like going on vacation and shit.
Yeah, it's a show.
It's a big show, and it's like the cameras are always on. But Roger Goodell to me is really messed up with this too, because then you look at a guy like Bill Polian on the receiving end of a lot of Belichick smackdowns, whether with the Colts or with the Bills.
Yeah,
To say that you don't know if you voted for him a day
that
after
was,
you said that you did, how could you
dude.
have any credibility to ever vote again?
That right there was like, are you serious, man? Are you serious? Are you serious?
Oh, and I'm
You
going to get
know?
Ryan Clark too.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that one because I got a lot to say about that clown. It's crazy. I mean, you know, look here. I'm 61 years old. I can tell you who I voted for every year I started voting. Well, I can tell you everybody I voted for, period. Whether it be political, whether it be something in the classroom, you know who you vote for. You don't walk into the room and say, oh, because you already know who's on the ballot. You
Right.
know. Napoleon's full of shit. This is the same guy who said Lamar Jackson and few others should be quarterback.
No,
So,
it's ridiculous. And it's getting to a point where, while
oh, he
I'm
also
not
said Johnny
condoning,
Manziel. He also said Johnny Manziel is going to be a Hall of Famer. So, you
while I don't condone this kind of stuff that Belichick pulled, at the same time, how can I really get too mad about it when Roger Goodell didn't have the balls to do what needed to be done, which was dull him out a year suspension. He knew
Yeah.
how to do it to Sean Payton.
Yep.
And this is what I mean, picking and choosing, picking and choosing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. It's
yeah,
crazy, dude.
it's a real problem and one that people are getting tired of. Rich Eisen show recently
I love it.
highlighted the Super Bowl art going into week one. You
Yeah.
had a representative of each team looking at Levi Stadium. Now, something that has been like a conspiracy for a while is
Uh-huh.
that the color schemes of the Super Bowl will represent the teams that are playing, but this goes a little deeper on this one, which is kind of it's coincidental in my opinion, but it's funny.
It's coincidental.
The two players of the 32 representatives that were closest to the Lombardi were
Yeah.
Drake May and Sam Darnold. What are the chances of Drake May standing next to Sam Darnold when this was a cover art made for week one of the NFL?
Huh.
And what
You
was
know?
also interesting is that you had Jonathan Taylor standing next to Sauce Gardner, who at the time was still in a Jets jersey.
Yeah.
They ultimately became teammates.
Yeah.
I think Malik Neighbors, if I'm not mistaken, was the Giant representative in this cover art. It's just it's wild. It's wild.
Wow. It is crazy, man. Oh, Roger Goodell. I mean, Paul Tagliabue. I could never say his last name. Paul Tagliabue. He wasn't a great commissioner, but I think he's better than Goodell. Goodell picks and chooses.
Yes, he's a
Give me,
politician first.
give me Pete Rozelle, man. Bring him back.
Pete Rozelle, you took the words out of my mouth. That's the last great NFL commissioner
Bring me back Pete
that
Pete
we had.
Rozelle.
And this is another thing, man.
Yeah,
Don't back to Steve Tisch for a second. Don't dumb
yeah.
this down and talk to people like they're fucking idiots. John
No,
Gruden paid the ultimate price,
right.
which in
Preach
my
it,
opinion was
preach it.
subjective humor. It wasn't about racism when he was going in on DeMaurice Smith. Because last
Do
time I checked, Mick Jagger wasn't a black man.
you just said what I was
And
about to say.
that same joke could have been applied to a Mick Jagger. Some things are racial. That wasn't one of them.
Listen, I'm black as the night. I'm black as under the bed. When I heard that thing about Denora Smith, I died laughing. I thought that was the funniest shit. It didn't offend me. I know I'd be saying, hey, you were cool. No, because I don't take shit like that. If somebody said, damn, Bosco, you got some big ass lips. I would be like, I
Yeah,
ain't gonna take it.
it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way when it got blown into a racist thing when it was more about him genuinely not liking DeMaurice Smith. I don't like him either.
No, I don't either. I do. I've never liked Denora Smith, to be honest with
Troy
you.
Vincent disappoints me from time to time because he's a guy that's like so politically correct with all this stuff with hits and hits on guys when he was one of the most violent offenders in the game.
Thank you.
He was like Jack Tatum 2.0.
Yeah, that pisses me
Uh,
off too, man. How a
yeah, I
lot of these
guess,
prospects,
yeah.
they were heavy hitters in the league, but now they want to make the game soft.
I'll tell
Make
you another one that's gonna burn a hole on me.
that.
Let's say Bobby Kraft gets in first ballot. It hasn't been announced if he's gonna get in, but he is a part of this.
Yeah,
I don't just blame the idiots that listen to Polian. I also blame the way the system's laid out. Number one year out of the game is a little too quick. It should go back to 5 years for coaches.
5 years.
No,
Yeah, 5 years.
no, number two, don't put them in this weird category with contributors because Bob Kraft, while he is a pretty damn good owner, nobody's going to tell me that he's more responsible for the success on the field than Bill Belichick.
Nope. You can't tell me you're not gonna tell me. Nope.
So one guy gets done up with Spygate, but Handygate gets thrown away because Mr. Mac and Cheese is a billionaire.
Exactly.
So we ignore that. But with this one and once again, the NFL has always been guilty of protecting the golden gooses and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Kobe got hell forever about an allegation that most people would not believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger, Ben
Oh my.
Roethlisberger skated on this shit twice.
Yeah. And like, you know what? I don't like to say somebody did some shit, but Ben done that. Ben did that shit.
In my
Okay.
opinion, I believe he did.
Ben did that shit.
That's him and God will figure that shit out. And I'm not trying to persecute anybody. I'm just saying that
The truth is
when
the
I
truth.
saw the way that 18-year-old Kobe Bryant played it cool, calm, and collected when when a Milphosaurus Rex like Cindy Crawford was trying to get at young Kobe, and he played it cool and respectful. I said the only thing that man was guilty of was going somewhere else behind his wife, which is still a mistake made by him, which I'm sure behind closed doors he and Vanessa handled. But the point I'm making is I have a hard time believing that that man raped anyone. But the sports writers made him pay, because anybody that believes that the combination of Shaq and Kobe should only have one MVP each was not watching their careers close enough.
No,
And
sir.
rest in peace, Fred Hickman. I respected what you did as a journalist, but you were wrong with that Shaquille O'Neal thing.
Yep. Yeah. 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 Rest in peace, Fred Hickman. I agree,
Yeah, I
man.
liked Fred Hickman, but he was wrong.
He was wrong on that one. He was wrong on that one. With Kobe, I think with Kobe it was a situation, and if he was, oh, you just spending with no. I think with Kobe, it's a situation where he got into a situation. He didn't. I don't think he raped the girl. I'll put it that way.
What up, Jay Bear? What up?
What up, Jay Bear? I think with Kobe, the situation, what went down, and the girl didn't like it, and she tried to get a money grab. People say, oh, no, you just would know. If Kobe actually did what they said he did, it would have been a whole lot worse than what he got. That's why I don't think they believe he did it.
No, I
I think
wholeheartedly believe that. Uh, like with celebrities, and things behind, that, it's up to the how would you say, the interpretation or whatever we think. I'll name a few famous people for you, and we'll figure it out. OJ did that shit.
OJ did that shit.
Kobe didn't.
OJ did that shit.
Kobe didn't.
Nah, Kobe didn't do it. OJ did that.
Uh,
Period.
Mike Tyson maybe did that shit. I'll go as far as saying maybe.
I don't think he raped her, man. I think it was a situation because the girl came to his room in her nightgown, in her pajamas, 2 o'clock in the morning. I think he hit that shit. He might have hit that shit too hard,
I
and she.
tend to agree that's why I leave, but that's why I still leave like the little bit of interpretation, because the reason why I say I'm not sure for sure is
Yeah.
because Mike Tyson wasn't the most sane human during that time of his life.
Right on,
So
right
I'm gonna
on.
say Mike maybe, Tupac hell no.
Nah, Tupac, hell no. Nah.
Right. Ben Roethlisberger, I'm gonna say probably.
I'm gonna say yes.
Michael Jackson is the one that kills me the most, because Michael
Michael,
Jackson, it's like sometimes I'm like, yeah, he did, and then there's other times that I'm like, nah, man.
you know what,
That's just one that I hate even debating in my mind.
with Mike, I think with Mike, I think something went on. Don't get me wrong. I tell anybody, my niece to tell you, I love me some Michael Jackson.
As
Michael
do
Jackson,
I think Michael Jackson was a very damaged individual.
yeah, I think something happened, but I don't think to the extent people said happened. I think he just like watching or whatever. That's just my thing. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right, everybody. Oh, he's the no. I'm not defending Mike. I'm just saying I don't think he did what they said he did, but I think something happened.
But once again, whether it's the Epstein list or this celebrity who did what thing,
Oh,
one
they
thing
did
that
that
we
shit.
could both agree on, yeah, he did. One thing that we could both agree on is that shit always rolls downward. So that's why when I
Oh,
think about the stuff that Puff Daddy's in, or even 50 Cent, I'm gonna call him out for a second.
yeah.
Curtis, listen, man. Listen, man. You wanna go in on Fab and his crew and call them squatters and cheapskates and all this other shit. All right, cool, bet. Well, Fab got at you in a real explicit way talking about the woman that you left your baby mama for, which is the real driving force why you went after P. Diddy, not because you're some justice freedom chaser.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think we lost Richie, but he was talking about 50 Cent. I agree with him because 50's out here doing what he does, and he got to be called to the carpet too. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a lot of hypocrisy going on
My
with
bad,
all this. You
Apris.
back, you
Brett,
back, you back.
Brett just can't help not calling me during the show.
Okay, well, don't worry. I continue. But go ahead, finish it off, man. You got it.
So what I'm saying about this 50 Cent thing, his baby's mother uh, basically said that number one, he wasn't shot 9 times; it was more like five. Not that that's something that to hold lightly either
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
But the other thing is that she talked about how he was physically abusive. Whether true or not, it'll come out. Everything does. But my whole
yeah,
point is, and I said this to you before, not necessarily up here, but on air. I still like that he aired out Diddy shit, but the
yeah,
motives I question. And my thing is, make sure your backyard is clean enough when you're turning into this guy.
yeah.
And I'm not sure. And another thing too, since we're talking about podcasting, yo, I love you, Nori, but stop appeasing Fat Joe and tell
Oh
him
my,
he's better than he
oh
is,
my God, I'm so tired of that, dude.
bro. I love Nori. I love DJ EFN. I love Jadakiss. But this is my frustration with that podcast, Joe and Jada. Fat Joe don't let nobody ever talk.
Just like Nori,
But Joe doesn't know. Joe doesn't know how to
Joe
not
be
somehow
lying.
always tell a story in the middle of someone else's story.
Joe be lying. Let's just say it.
Bro,
Let's just call it. Joe be lying most of the time.
bro, when I see Joe even backing it up to the shit with Big Pun or the way that
Yeah,
Cuban Link got blackballed from the industry,
yeah,
two people in the entertainment industry in terms of New York hip hop that I just don't trust, Fat
yeah,
Joe and Angie Martinez.
yeah. I second that.
And
And I used
Charlemagne
to
the
love.
God, he's gonna get knocked out one day.
I don't. Well, LL told him into his face, don't pick on, don't be picking on me.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't like that. You know, Angie used to be the shit. Angie used to be the shit, but she
Angie's
turned
hip
into
hop royalty, whether you like her or not. I give her place.
yeah,
However, uh, I just don't like some of the character stuff. Like Nori don't need Fat Joe.
no,
But the
he
fact that
doesn't.
Nori always appeases him, like Nori, you're supposed to be you know, it's all about all the hip hop. Get Cuban Link on your show, bro, and stop the bullshit.
Yeah, I I'm
So we
so
don't always
tired
have
of
to
Fat
just
Joe.
listen to all these things on Panda Chop.
Yeah, I'm so tired of Fat Joe. I'm so tired of Fat Joe.
Jadakiss looks like one day he's gonna have a Shannon Sharp moment.
Yeah, I'm so tired of Fat Joe, man. And I don't care if he's from. I'm from the Bronx too. Fat Joe is full of shit, and we're gonna talk about that on my eventually on the hip hop show.
No
Fat
doubt.
Joe is full of. Well, you know what the thing about it when Gyro beat him in the verses, I said that's all I needed to see.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all I
crazy how
needed to
things work out. One
see. Yeah,
guy gets murked on a set of mixtapes and on one of the most polarizing albums in the history of hip hop, talking about Get Rich or Die Trying, the way 50 had
yeah,
hit the ground running. But then 50
yeah.
proceeds to do everything that Ja Rule did.
Right.
And to be fair, Ja Rule did it better
Yeah.
because 50 never worked with no Ashanti.
Nope.
Now, don't get me wrong. It was the art of war the way they got him. They waited till their
Yeah.
money was seized, their funds were seized, and they went in and destroyed Murder Inc.
Yeah.
And it all leaks back to a bigger issue in the streets. And of course, we're talking about the Supreme Team. We know this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Supreme and the whole
We know
group. Yep.
this.
Oh
We
yeah.
know
Oh yeah.
this.
Oh yeah.
But no, it's just crazy how 50's been great at playing the game. I'm not gonna deny that.
But he's
But
starting to turn into a character, man. Into a
yeah, but
cartoon
like
character.
when you go lengths and the earth to talk about someone's lack of character. Are we just
Yeah,
going to completely ignore, that the three people that put you on, one guy made fun of Tupac's death, that'd be Jimmy Iovine.
yeah.
One guy used to beat the shit out of his old lady, that'd be Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre. Yep.
And Eminem, I don't know, he's the golden goose. So we're just going to pretend that he did nothing wrong until he decided to get sober.
Yeah. Right.
Come
It's
on, man.
crazy, man.
Come
Yeah,
on,
I'm with you,
man.
man.
I'm
No,
on
I'm with
one today.
you. You said you what?
I'm on one today.
Oh.
But I'll tell you,
Yeah,
yesterday was a good day, bro. Quiet day, man. My mother took me out for breakfast. I went to her house. I drove us there.
yeah.
Shouts out mom for watching Daisy. Jen's hanging out with her family. I'm gonna be picking her up after work tomorrow. Today's mission is just to kind of pick up the house, but I'm not gonna front. I am so looking forward to just taking like a 4-hour nap in a little while.
Yeah. That sounds
This
like
cold
me.
weather got me tired, bro.
We woke up to 7 degrees this morning, man.
Buddy, I did
Ah,
something I vowed I'd never do. I put on the damn heat yesterday.
ah,
I walked in my house when I came back from my mother's. Bro,
yeah.
it was 47 degrees in my house.
Oh, dang. Inside, that's kind of cold, man.
I moved
Outside,
it.
I'm like,
I set it to go up to 68. It went up to
yeah,
68 finally around midnight. You figure a couple of degrees every hour.
yeah,
I walked in my house, I don't know, 3-ish, something like that.
yeah,
I stayed up mad late. I was just watching a bunch of Netflix, hanging out with the dog.
yeah.
I never seen my dog sleep like that. And
Daisy. Lazy Daisy.
yeah, bro. And I turned off the heat. In an
Yeah,
hour, 68 turned to 58. I said, oh, hell no, I'm putting the heat back on again.
yeah, yeah, put that shit on there.
Yeah, bro. Last thing I want to hit on before we get out of here. It is
Hmm.
Super Bowl week, Idris,
Yes,
and I'd
sir.
like to play a little game called My Dynasty versus Yours. Now, we
Oh,
know who the dynasties are. You
yep.
got the 60s Packers, you got the 70s Steelers, you've got the 80s Niners, you've got the 90s Cowboys, the 2000 to pretty much the end of the 20 teens Patriots, and after them you have the Kansas City Chiefs. Out of all these dynasties, we know the Packers are the original, so to speak. But who
Hmm.
do you think is the standard bearer for what the best dynasty is of each of these decades?
Man, it would have to come down to the Steelers and the Niners, man.
I
I,
tend
I'm,
to
I'm
agree because of the proximity of each decade.
yeah,
I think that's a good answer. I personally would take the Steelers against almost anyone.
yeah, oh yeah. You know why? And I saw. I'm aging myself, but I saw all those teams win except for that the old Pack team of
Right.
Bart Starr. I never saw them play, but I saw. Well, I did, but I don't remember. I was
I
like
just
maybe
think
two.
from a talent-based standpoint, the Steelers were ahead of what the Packers were.
I believe so. I say the same thing because the Packers were good with running the ball.
Right.
What you say, they were really good at running the ball. They were okay at passing, but back then they wasn't really throwing the ball
It was a
to
different
where.
game back then. That's why I
Right,
tell people don't always focus on the numbers when you're saying that certain quarterbacks like Namath and Bradshaw don't belong. Yes, they do.
right. But when you look at what the teams did to win, I'm going Pittsburgh because yeah, Franco Harris, you had Rocky Blau. So you had a two-headed backfield already right there. You got Terry Bradshaw, wasn't great, but he had John Storer who had 1,000-yard season every year of his career. Lynn Swan never had 1,000-yard season. However, we know what Lynn Swan did, and that defense. I mean, you couldn't beat that defense. So top to bottom, I'm going Steelers, man.
Yeah, with the Steelers with four different champions in that decade,
Yeah.
two of them being back to back. I think in
Hmm.
a lot of ways it's like pick your year. But I
And
would
they
go
did.
with probably 77.
Yeah,
I
77.
believe
Yeah.
that the best Niner team of the decade of the 80s was the 84 version.
84. Yep.
So if I'm talking a single season greatest team of all time, I know a lot of people are expecting the Chicago Bears to come out of my mouth. But personally, I think it's the 49ers because you had the best quarterback of the decade and ultimately a top five quarterback all time and possibly the best on Super Sunday. That would be Joe Montana. And you have the greatest wide receiver that ever walked on planet Earth on that team.
I
And we
think
didn't
with
even
the
start talking about the defense.
right. I think with the '85 Bears, as great as um, they were a little weak on the back end.
Yeah.
They can play, but they were a little weak because Miami showed that we hit you on the back end. And with the Steelers, you got Swan and you got Stallworth.
And in my
Well,
opinion, you have the most ferocious run stopper in the history of the NFL. Talking about number 75, Mean Joe Green.
Mean Joe Green. You got LT
Aaron
Greenwood
Donald
on
was a dog, but there's only one Mean Joe Green.
one, and you had LT Greenwood. You had Jack Ham. You had uh
You had
uh
Haynes on that team too, right?
yeah, yep. You had Mel Blunt. That team was stacked with
And
defenders, man.
wasn't Lambert part of that too?
Yeah,
Lambert was
Lambert and
a
Jack Ham.
violent son of a bitch.
He was a nasty dude. Him and
Bro,
Jack Ham. They were
bro.
those two linebackers was good.
I'll go as far as saying this. I think the best Dallas team of their three Super Bowls of the 90s was the 92 squad.
Yeah,
I'll go as far as saying that I think they could beat, on a given day, of course, the 84 Niners or the best team that the Steelers would put out. Now,
yeah.
the thing that those three teams have, I think they would all murk Andy Reid and Bill Belichick's teams.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's not a
smoke.
knock. It's not a knock on Tom Brady. It's not a knock on Patrick Mahomes.
Uh-uh.
But my bottom line with this is I give credit where credit's due because being a dynasty is not always about being the best team or being the more
Right.
talented. It's about getting it done in crunch time. And few have done that better than Mahomes and Brady. But my whole thing is it came down to some games where Mahomes is putting it in on Harrison Butker's foot, or Brady's
Yeah,
putting it on Adam Vinatieri's foot.
yeah,
Now the Steelers won some close ones, but the reason why I give the Steelers so much props is because it's similar to the Lakers and the Celtics because of the '80s. Because if it wasn't for Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and co., the Celtics are the team of the '80s. Where if it's not for a Jackie Smith drop, the Cowboys of the '70s and the Steelers of the '70s are on equal footing,
yes, sir.
three
Exactly.
apiece. So
Yeah,
the competition level in that regard is another reason I give it to the Steelers. And I give the 49ers a close second because
yeah,
to think that Joe Montana, who took beatings galore, won 4 Super Bowls when he was getting knocked on his ass by the likes of Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, and Mike Singletary, just to name a few.
yeah.
I personally enjoyed Lawrence Taylor's take on the whole GOAT thing at quarterback because he flat out said, I respect Tom Brady, he's great and all that, but we would knock the GOAT right out of him because I never seen a man get up like Joe Montana did.
Nope.
And I do
I agree.
think that it's like a similar Kobe Mike argument. If you put Joe Montana in the 2000s, he plays into the late 20 teens or early 2020s. Whereas Brady, I still think he would be great and he'd still be a Super Bowl winner, but there ain't no way in hell that man would play 2 decades.
Nah, nah. I don't think so either. I think Brady was tough though. I think cause Brady came in when you could still knock the hell out of a quarterback, and I see him took that hit against Indianapolis. He got his ass, got the helmet knocked. He got right back up. Went to all right. Let's go. Let's do it
Oh
again.
yeah, I'm never gonna question Tom Brady's toughness, his preparation, or his
Yeah,
improvisation when he's under pressure because, we saw that guy come back from a devastating knee injury. He was lucky enough to
yeah,
never really get hurt again.
yeah,
We saw him come back from probably the most devastating loss in the history of the NFL.
yeah. I also think with Brady, um, I think of the quarterbacks who has played over the last 20 years, I think he would be the one that would last the longest. I think Breeze would be gone quick. I think Cam would be. I think a lot of those quarterbacks that we've seen over the last 20 years, I think a lot of them wouldn't last 15 years.
And I think Phillip Rivers is a rare breed because he walked away on
Yeah,
his own terms, but I think Rivers could
yeah.
have kept playing because he proved that this year.
I think Rivers is another one. Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe Rivers
Rivers
is another.
is an interesting one. Brett Favre, it was that one injury in Minnesota that really did him.
Yeah.
But no, this is a good talking point. Now I talked about fourth quarters on a recent short, and my top
Mhm.
5 fourth quarter quarterbacks only applying to the Super Bowl. Some people that were in my comments didn't quite understand that.
Yeah.
Joe Montana won. He's perfect in the Super Bowl, similar to how MJ's perfect in the finals. He's my number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Tom Brady at a close second. Number 3 is Patrick Mahomes. And then after that is where you start getting to debating. But my
My
number 4 would be
mhm.
Eli Manning. Not
My
just
number
because
three
of
is
the 2 times he did it, but because of the 2 times he did it, who he did it against.
yeah.
And
My
5, I
number
think
three
you
is
got to go either Bradshaw or Starr.
my number three is Johnny Unitas. I think what Johnny Unitas did in his era is incredible
Now
considering he
remember, I'm
wasn't very.
applying this. I'm applying this specifically to the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with you on Super Bowl. Yeah, yeah, I'm dead on with that with you. Super Bowl, yeah.
And I think Troy Aikman gets overlooked. I don't think Troy Aikman was as good as Roger Staubach. I'm not
I
even
don't think
sure if he was as good as Tony Romo.
I don't
But
either.
one thing that Aikman did similar to Montana was he got up from some severe beatings.
Yeah, he did. He did. He did. Uh,
And he had
yeah,
a toughness that Tony Romo didn't have. No offense to Tony Romo, but Aikman was tougher.
it was tough. Tony Romo was tough though. He was tough. I gotta give it to him. Romo was tough. You know, I think with Romo, they didn't they didn't really help him. You know, they didn't help him. They could have
Now in
protected him
terms
more.
now in terms of greatest defensive performance in the Super Bowl, I got to look no further than the 2000 Ravens.
Yeah, no, you know
I think
what?
maybe you could put the 89 Niners in there, that shellacking they put on Denver.
I'm going with that. I'm going with that Seahawks team that put the beat down on Denver.
They should be considered too, the Legion of Boom.
Yeah, because they came out and they just went out right out the gate and said the game's over.
The reason why I could see things from your way
Yeah,
is Kerry Collins doesn't match up even remotely close to a John Elway or a Peyton Manning, which were the 2 quarterbacks that the other defenses I mentioned shut down. So
yeah,
yeah, you got a point. I might have to back that up on the 2000 Ravens. Now we're talking about like overall great defense for but maybe the Ravens. 85 Bears are always in that convo. And I would also give some credence to the 84 Niners because I think the 84 Niners possibly, now once again, out of teams that won it all, might be the greatest Super Bowl team ever.
that '84 Niners team, dude. Golly,
And I
they
got
it
news
just
for
it just
you.
looked good doing what they did.
That
Yeah,
99ers team wasn't that far off because
no,
teams are still trying to three-peat. The Chiefs were close to doing it. The closest to doing it was the Chiefs.
yeah,
The mid 90s Broncos didn't have the chance to do it because I think
retired.
Elway was on a 3-year plan. And when they
Yeah,
lost to Jacksonville in 96 and then they
that
went
was
back to back, that was
yeah,
Elway's chance to three-peat. They should have won it, the
they,
AFC in 96.
yeah,
And if that would have happened, you would have had Green Bay and Denver 2 years in a row.
yeah,
And then they changed the uniforms up and they won 2 Super Bowls.
mm,
But
yeah. I'm with
not good show today, Idris. Anything else you want to hit on the way out?
Hip hop show tomorrow, y'all. Hip hop sports, we come together. Look out, y'all. Y'all better pay attention because we gonna do something. Let's
All
go,
right.
Knicks. Steve Tisch, get it together, man.
All right. I like it. Keep an eye out for the shorts. We're probably going to chop up some of this and send it out to you in the day for those of you who
Yeah,
missed the show or just
we
want
got
to
a lot of
focus in
shorts,
on a couple
y'all.
of talking points here.
We got a lot of shorts, y'all. I just been procrastinating, but we got a lot of shit coming to you.
All right. So we're going to make an effort, get that out to some of this stuff out today. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to the hip hop show tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna
And
do this.
in terms of hip hop, I also want to get just a big hip hop show in general. By the way, Idris, I've been gradually listening to your album. Very good.
Oh, appreciate it.
By this man's
My
album.
my hip hop album dropped today. It's on iHeart. Old Man Energy Volume One. It dropped today.
Pop that
It's on
shit.
iHeart Radio. Y'all check it out. It's straight hip hop, old school hip hop. Well, not old school, but it's that traditional hip hop. So
Yeah, you got
yeah.
to, and another thing too, you got a fan in
Oh,
John Olson.
oh really?
Yeah. And
Okay.
John don't even listen to rap like that.
Yeah, I made that remix to the Moonlight Sonata, and he's like, man, I like that. I like, yeah, that's what I do, man. I gotta send you up, but you get your copy free, so you ain't got to go to iHeart. I got you, so don't worry about that.
But send me the link regardless, because that way I could
Yeah,
promote it on our socials.
yeah, okay, hell yeah, good show, man.
Yeah, good show. We were able to talk about a lot. This particular week, I'm going to see what we could do with the panel, but definitely going to try to release Super Bowl centric historical shows with the big game coming up. Idris, not a prediction, but you think this Super Bowl is going to be lopsided?
Yeah,
Me too.
I think it's gonna resemble the Denver Seattle game.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe. And
Shouts
I'm
out to
not into
Julian
this whole
Love.
conspiracy theorist bullshit, but I'm going to say one thing.
Yeah,
Does the NFL really want the New England Patriots to win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady on the roster? Because if you ask you Hollins, he didn't want the Chicago Bulls to win one. And you know I'm a Knicks fan, but I always keep it real.
all right.
We
Yeah.
are out.
Peace.